Okay, good day everyone. Welcome to the final examination for ITS 306 Web Development 2. Today I'm going to do a demonstration on how you're going to work with your final examination. So, for your final examination, you have to create a login logout system using PHP and MySQL for your e-commerce website. And when you open your website, it will redirect you to the login page. That means whenever you visit your website, localhost slash and then your web page, it will redirect automatically to a login page. And then once the right user credential, like the username and password, is entered, only then it will proceed to the home page. And then a session shall be used in every web page to restrict access only to login user. Meaning, if you open a web page without logging in, it will redirect to the login page. So basically, this will restrict the user that it can only be accessed by logged in users only. And then of course we're going to we're going to add a logout button. So in that case, you don't necessarily have to do the coding yourself because I've already prepared it, and then I'm just going to send it to you. I've created a simple login logout system, and then all you need to do is just to make that login logout system work on your website. You don't necessarily have to write it yourself. So allow me to show it to you. So this is the login logout page that I created. So it only has three files. We have config, home, and index. The users is just the database. Later on, we'll talk more about it in just a moment. But allow me to show it to you how it works. So this is very simple one. So you just have to log in. Let's say, for example, I've already added a login, which is Julius Publico, and then password is Julius. And then if I'm going to click submit, it will route me to the home page. That means it successfully let me logged in. And then here's the logout button. If I'm going to click on it, it will route me back to the login page. So basically, that's just it. We just have to add that to our website. So first is we're going to create a simple sign in or login page. So don't you worry, Bootstrap is a simple sign in page is already available in Bootstrap, so you can just copy that. So if you can remember, I asked you to download the Bootstrap examples. So I think it's right here. Allow me to show it to you. Here, and then go to sign in. That's one right here. Here it is. So basically, you can just copy it. So how to copy it? I've been teaching you how to do it before. So you just have to right click, open it up with, let's say, a Notepad++, and then you can either copy the entire thing or just copy the important part. So you just have to copy the main class and then paste it on your web page. So all you need to do is just go to your website. In my case, I've already done it right here. Create a login page. So I've created login.php and I copied it. I paste it right here. So this is how my sign-in page is currently look like. Oops. Login.php. Alright, so this is my login page. So it's basically the same thing with what Bootstrap offers. So here's what we're going to do. Every time that I'm going to open up my website, it will route me to the login page and then password. Login page rather, and only if I'm going to enter the right password and username, it will route me to the home page, which is this. Okay, so that is using session, but we will discuss that maybe in the following days. For the meantime, we're just going to create a simple login and logout system. Again, we will focus more on the sessions in the following day. So this is just for you to get started with the login page. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is to create a database. Once we've already added our login page, and by the way, I changed the file name from like index.php to home.php. You can do it, but you don't necessarily have to do it. But if you'd like to, you can. So I've already created my login page. The next thing that we're going to do is to create the database for our web page. So here it is. Just go to localhost. Let's try again. Localhost / php myadmin, and then I am just going to create new database. Just click on new, and then enter the database name. Remember, your database name will be doing that later on. So in my case, I'm going to add kicks2. Okay, since I already created kicks, for when I try to make it or when I try to test it. So I'm just going to write kicks2. Again, remember your database name will be doing that later on. Click create, and then here it is. We're inside the database. We just have to create a table. So enter the name of the table. Let me call it users, and then exactly I'm going to add 4 columns. So there, I will be adding 4 columns. And what are those? We'll talk more about it in a moment. Click go, and here it is. So this is gonna be, we're going to create columns for our table. Again, our table name is users, and then what would be the column names? So we'll have ID, we'll have username, and then name, and then password. So these are the columns for our table. So we are just going to set the attributes of each of these columns. So first of all, let's start with the ID. Let's set it to integer. So you all know what integer means. Let's give it 11 length or values. That means it can only hold up to 11 digits or 11 integers only. And then make sure that it is set to auto increment. That means it will automatically change by itself. It will automatically add 1 every time that we're going to add new data to our database, right? And then for the username, let's set it to string. And what type of string? The varchar. Varchar is a type of string, as you can see here. Varchar meaning variable characters. Let's set it to 80 values, meaning it can hold up to 80 varchars. And then for the username, let's do the same thing. Varchar, let's set it to 80. Password, same thing. Varchar, let's set it to 80. And then once we're done, click save. Right? So we've successfully created a table for our database. Again, the table name is users, and then database name is kicks or KCKS2. Obviously, you have to change it for yourself. Next is we're going to manually add 1 login information. That means we're going to add one set of data to our table. So to do so, click on the insert. Ideally, we have to create a sign up page, but it will take a lot of time. I will not require you to create a sign up page. We're just going to create, kumbaga, sign up lang ta directly to the database. So for the ID, let's set it to 1, and the username, let's add Julius Publico, and then for the name, Julius Publico, both my names separated, and then password, let me just add Julius. Once we're done, click go. Alright, so we've successfully added 1 data in our table. To check it out, click on the browse, and then here it is. We have 1 data that includes ID 1, username Julius Publico, name Julius Publico, password Julius. So we're nagsulod ang ato ang database. Next is let's go to our codes. Let me close this real quick. So same lang tayo na since everything is already been coded, all you need to do is just copy it and paste it on your website. So let's start with the login page. So we're just going to copy this. We're going to copy these codes and let's go to our login page. Okay, so I'm just going to paste it at the top. And let me just arrange it real quick. Okay. All right. So before I explain what are these all about, let's go to our sign in page first. Here it is. So normally, wala siya name. If you're just going to copy the sign in page directly from Bootstrap, it doesn't have any name attribute in it. So the name attribute is just added by myself. So let's start with the username. So on the input field, we will add an attribute called username. That is basically that is where we're going to enter the username. Okay, so again, add this one, name equals username. And then same thing for the password. We're going to create a name and then password. Okay, and then lastly on the sign in button, just right here, we'll have to add name, which is submit. Okay, so why do we need this, or why do we need to add the name, username, name, password, and name submit? We will be using that for our sign in or the login command or the functionalities right here. So katotong paste, this makes the login possible. Okay, so let's start. First is before that, let's proceed with adding a configuration file di. We'll add a configuration file. That means it will allow us to connect the database that we created. Katotong create nga database, this one right here. We're going to connect it to our website. So to do so, go open up the config.php, copy all of it, and then on our website, we're going to create a new file. Let's call it config.php and paste it right here. So let's discuss each line. So first is we will write session start. That means later on in our following days we'll work with session, but basically it will just every time you log in ka, it will stay logged in unless you're going to log out. So that is what session is all about, but we'll discuss it in the following day. Let's focus on the next lines. We have host, localhost. This is the host name. So you don't necessarily have to change that. It will always say localhost. Or if you're using mobile device, maybe katong KS Web Pro, there might be chance that it could be either localhost or in some other cases, it is 127.0.0. 127.0.0.1. If I'm not mistaken, I'll get back to you what is the exact host IP address, but for XAMPP users, just keep it to localhost. Again, I'll get back to the actual host name for KS Web users. And then for user, root, this is the default username. So if you're using XAMPP, notice that every time you open up phpMyAdmin, you don't necessarily have to log in. So that means you're using the default password and username. So all you need to do is just write root and then password empty and then the database name. So this is where you're going to enter the database name. So in my case, I use Kix2. Alright, and then this will allow the connection between the website and or between the database and the website every time that we're going to use it. So we're just going to save it right here. And how are we going to connect this to our web page? We're just going to use the include function in the PHP. So go to login. So this is what it's all about. So we're just going to include whatever it is that we entered inside config.php. We're just going to call it here. That means we don't necessarily have to write this every time in every web page that we created. We just have to save it on one file, which is config.php, and then we will include it in our web page. Okay, so let's go back to the login. So here it is. On the first variable, we create a variable that will contain whatever it is that we inserted inside the username. Kani, ug unsa atong gibuhat dire, remember that we set the name to username. So everything that we're going to write inside this field will be saved here. right, will be saved in the variable you name. Same thing for the password. Okay. Now, if the username and password is filled with information coming from the user nga imong gi-input sa browser, it will create or it will perform a MySQL query that says look for the username and password nga gi-enter from the users. As in users, this is the table that we created. This one right here. Kani. So here's what it's gonna do. Iyang pangitaon sa database ang table nga users and pangitaon niya ang username. What is this username and password? This is the column name. Here we have username and password. So pangitaon niya sa column ug unsa atong gi-enter sa field here. Right? For example, if ni-enter ko Julius for the user, Julius Publico for the username, and then Julius for the password, then the MySQL will look for that username and password here, and if it's correct, if naay mo match, then it will proceed. If naay mo match, then it will proceed to the home.php. Okay? However, if sayop, if wala, then it will display invalid username and password. Okay? So let's save that. Let's save the config as well. And then let's try. So let me reload it. Hold on. Make sure you got it. That you got the right spelling. Okay. So I'm going to enter the username that we set. So Julius Publico, Julius, and then sign in. Okay, it routed me to the home page. That means it successfully let me logged in. Okay, next is we're going to add a logout page. Diba? Part of your final examination is to create a logout button, not page but button. So how do we do that? Go to the home page on the example, and then we're just going to copy this. Now, for the meantime, just leave the session. You can just delete that for the meantime. We'll work on it in the future, the following days. For the meantime, let's copy this, and then let's go to our home page. And then here's the thing. I didn't anticipate to create log and log out on our website, on my website. So ideally, it would be best if pwede na to ibutang diri ang logout page with your name on, or with the username. However, it will take a lot of time. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to create a very simple log out button right here. And if we're going to click on that, it will allow me to log out from the website. So let's go back to our to the home.php, and then again ibutang lang na ako dire. You can put wherever you want, but let me add it right here. So that's gonna be right about here. Let me paste it. Hold on. Let me paste it at the top, and then for the meantime we'll just remove this session. Okay, if you notice, we're still using the config.php, and every time I click tag logout, it will route me back to the login page. So let me replace that with login page. So if I'm going to click logout, it will route me to the login page. So after that, we're going to copy this form. We're going to copy that, and then let's go to saan na ibutang? Dire na ako ibutang. That's it. Let me save it. Now, before we proceed, how do we make sure that these forms will work? I forgot to tell you, but it is because of the method post. Now, if you copy the sign in page from Bootstrap, there might be chance nga wala siya method post. So please double check. Go to your form, make sure to add method post and an action blank. Okay, so again, remember to add method post. I forgot to tell you that a while ago, but if you copy the sign-in page from Bootstrap, maybe wala na siya. So again, inside form, make sure to add method equals post. Let's save that, and then let me save this right here, and then let me reload. Okay, and then ako log out. So if we're going to click on it, it will destroy the session and it will let me go back to the login page. So let's try it again. Let's log in, sign in, and here it is. Where it's able to let me log in, and then if I'm going to log out, click on the logout button, it will drop me back to the login page. Now, what if I've entered wrong password? So let's say Jules Publico, and I deliberately enter any other password. So obviously it will say username and password, invalid username and password. So maybe we can change this a little bit. Hold on. Let's go to the login. And then maybe we can add it as JavaScript. So dire. So I think it would be, hold on. Okay, we can make it look, make it a pop-up. So that is using JavaScript. So we'll use echo and then script and then alert. And then let's say username or password, invalid username or password. Let's try that and then close it with a script. So this will display a pop-up message instead. Let's try it. Let's see if it will work. Reload. Yeah, it says invalid username and password. Let's try again. Let me deliberately add wrong password. Alright, it says invalid username or password. So you can either just do just like that. Okay, so again, if you have any questions or clarification, please let me know. And again, we will work on the session functionalities in the future. Okay, or maybe in the following days. Thank you guys and good luck.